Good morning, this is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miffed Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. PsychicTarot.ca, book your tarot reading and unlock your spiritual journey. And the Pepper Master, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Well, good morning and hello, kids and cubs, and welcome to season 5 and episode number, and I have to take a look this morning, kids and cubs, episode number 890 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. Oh, Canada, always 100% Canadian. Today, recording day is Wednesday, April 22nd, 2026, and it is a sunny day, as you can tell by the weird light effect on the background here at the Beaver Lodge. Sunshine coming through the window and giving us some special effects. Ooh, here at the Beaver Lodge. I am your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver A, and with me as usual is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly. A big thank you goes to our podcast founding sponsors, the Pepper Master, the Miffed Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and PsychicTarot.ca. Kids and cubs, how is your mental health today? Mine is doing very, very well. I have a friend over here, trusted friend here, decided wanted to come and take part in the show today. Was actually there as well yesterday, but for some reason forgot to introduce them. But yeah, because for those who are listening and not necessarily watching, that was my curling broom. I had an interesting day yesterday, kids and cubs. I had a lovely day yesterday, actually. It started out a little weird because, there are certain things that can only happen to me. I was on my way there and I saw my destination coming up, and I rang the rang the bell on the bus to signal that I wanted to get off at the next stop. But for some reason, on the list of stops, the screen that shows up that shows what the next stop, the stop was not listed for some reason. It was sort of like blacked out in green. All the other stops were listed in white, but this one was covered with something green. And I'm like, why is the stop I'm looking for not there? And then even though I pulled the cord for the stop, the bus just whipped by the stop and whipped by the next one, because about literally 300 meters prior to the stop, a construction zone began, which included that stop. So we couldn't stop there, and went so far down that it included the next stop. And at that particular point, there's sort of, I guess, this sort of marsh or bogland or something, wetland, that the road goes over for quite a while before the next stop, like several kilometers away, because it's an express bus, so it doesn't stop at all the stops. And there's literally nothing between that other stop and the one over there where I finally got let off. So yeah, uh, they moved the stop on me and didn't tell me. So, uh, so yeah, when I got off the bus, also because everything was construction and it's one of those sort of thoroughfare roads where again there's nothing and leading to sort of like industrial area. Um, there are no sidewalks, and then when you think of that, the road is even narrower because there's construction. There's not only no sidewalks, but no place at all to walk. So walking to the place from where I am is also not an option. So I had to wait for the next bus going the other way. Fortunately, it wasn't that long a wait, and got there a little late, sadly. But in time, of course, to hear some of the announcements, and there was a question and answer session with the audience. There was a lot of people there, kits and cubs. Uh, very surprised at how many people were there, considering it's a Tuesday morning at 11. But there were easily well over 100 people there gathered. And I would say probably even more, but easily well over 100. And the people from the Grand Slam of Curling who were there, you can hear some buzz and them chattering to each other. And they have never gotten a crowd that big for a pre-event launch type thing, because the purpose was sort of like to reach out to the community, let them know that volunteers were going to be needed and all that kind of stuff for the event, which is going to be in December. If you excuse me, I have to sneeze. Sorry. Thank you for your indulgence there. That one was just sneaking up on me, actually. So yeah, we're going to be having an event. I think it is around December 15th to the 20th or something of the like. I have the dates handy. I can confirm that. But it's going to be the Players Cup event from the Grand Slam of Curling tour, and it's going to be here in Kingston. So came to town. Uh, Recent Olympic bronze medalist, and I believe two-time world champion, if I'm not mistaken, for Rachel Homan. I'm going to just change the light features here, kits and cubs. See if I can look a little less washed out. No, it's just the sunlight coming in is that strong. Okay, there's nothing I can do about that. So yeah, um, Rachel Homan. That's pretty cool uh, on its own. But not only was there uh, Rachel Homan there, uh, not sure if it's two-time world champion or just one. No, yeah, three-time world champion. What am I saying? Two-time world champion. See, I should know better than that. Three-time world champion Rachel Homan was there. But in addition to that, uh, there was also Olympic gold medalist and two-time world women's curling champion in 2008 and 2018, Jennifer Jones. And also there, uh, CBC sportscaster extraordinaire, and I've been calling it for some time, future Olympic anchor desk chair, a la Brian Williams, if ever we go to that kind of format again one day, Devin Haru. And he is as lovely in person as you would think that he is. Just by listening to him in interview, it's all genuine. What you see on TV is who he is. Just a sweetheart. It was really really nice to get to meet him. Didn't get a lot of time, obviously, because he's at work, but I did get to chat a little bit, and hopefully, when he gets to come back for the event, we'll actually be able to have a bit of social time of some kind. I mean, it would be nice to have a meal and pick his brain a little bit about the industry and all that kind of stuff. And of course, d- just the kindest. He's if you've watched the show, um, Devin Haru is generous with his compliments towards us, and that was no different yesterday. So it's uh, there's some people that just make you feel good when you're around them. It's just he's just one of those people. He's just one of those people. So it was a wonderful event, and for those of you who sent love to Kit Michael, I did. I was able to give it to him because I saw him yesterday. He was there. Um, he jokes that uh, he's very happily married, but jokes that the entirety of Team Homan are his girlfriends. So he said, "So you go to see your girlfriend today?" Says, "Yep, even took the day off." So since I am talking about it a little bit here, kids and cubs, why not show you a little bit of what was going on here yesterday. Put up a couple of pictures, not all of the ones that I took, because I took way too many. But yeah, I was fan beavering yesterday. I was just completely fan beavering. So this is yours truly with the great Jennifer Jones. Hopefully, this deserves full screen. What are we doing here? Let's do that. Ah, man. Yes, there we go with the great Jennifer Jones. Asked her if she would be willing to come on the show, and said that there should be that should be able to be arranged. Told me who to contact for that. So who knows? We might be able to have her as a guest. And then there's Rachel Homan, and she is signing her new children's book, Curling ABCs. Darn, I don't have it with me right here at the table. Could have shown you. It's really cool for kids. Has some great illustrations, and then a whole bunch of stuff, ABCs, of course, to learn them, and then as well some lots of curling trivia mixed in it as well. So we uh, she was there signing them, of course, and promoting those as well. And then, yes, the Olympic bronze medal, the closest to one I've ever got to a medal I've ever gotten before. There was one in the same room I was at one point in 2010 when Crystal Bernard had come back from, oh my God, I can't remember where the Olympics were in 2010 now, off the top of my head, with her silver. But I didn't get within like a couple of feet of it and certainly didn't touch it. And, there it is, right there, right close to it. Um, I was there's Devin interviewing Rachel and Jennifer here and taking questions from the audience as well as they are promoting the event. And of course, there's Brad. My God, that's a pose that must have been hard to hold, because if that's an actual stone and not a prop one, that's a lot of weight he's holding there. But December 15th to the 20th at the Slush Puppy Palace here in Kingston, the Grand Slam of Curling coming here. Uh, so yeah, and I also asked uh, R- Rachel Homan if it was possible and to have her on as a guest, and she said that most probably that we could do that, and who knows, maybe if I can get some help, it might be something we might actually be able to do live and in person when she's here and the team is here in December, which could be really neat if that was the case. So we'll work on that as well. Of course, Devin, we can reach out to him anytime. He let us know that, of course. And then I happened to bump into someone from the tour, the Grand Slam of Curling itself, and we had a little discussion about whether or not it might be possible for a show of our size and stature to get some media accreditation to cover the event. once it comes to town. And that looked positive. I was given the contact information to write at and put that down. So who knows? And if that happens, then that could create an opportunity to have many more people to interview, especially if we can set up there to talk to people. So that would be a lot of fun. And then, as an added bonus, kits and cubs, I happened to bump into someone uh, who we will have on our show because she expressed interest. In fact, she proactively expressed interest, and I could not be happier. And I had read about her actually uh, before. So uh, when she introduced herself to me, I was like, I know who you are, which was kind of cool because I had read about her. Her name is Sabina. I hope I am pronouncing this correctly. Sabina But Islam, and she is someone who lives right here in Kingston, and there's a picture of her in this uh, newspaper article. So I am going to show it. Nope, that's not the right one. Let's try that again. There we go. There's been several places where she's been featured here, but this is an article about curling's push to become more inclusive. And this lady here, Sabina But Islam, is not only um, a curler. She started playing it in school, and she coaches here now. But she is. Oh, I hope that the picture did go up. Let's try that one more time. There we go. Make sure that she gets her due here. But not only is she doing that over here, she is, in addition, um, working in Pakistan to create a curling program there. How about that? Curling in Pakistan. Uh, so, yeah, we're going to have her on the show as a Canadian who makes us proud. And we're making arrangements for that. So, an extremely, what looked like was going to be an unproductive day because I had also um, the plan yesterday was to go out and do that and then do do some errands. And for that, I needed my wallet and credit card, but I paid a bill before leaving, so and left the wallet and credit card on the desk, so I couldn't do that. So I was thinking, oh, darn, I can't run my errands. And I got dragged so far from my bus stop today and getting there late. What an unproductive day. Right? Because I have to go back home, then get wallet and then do the errands. And then turns out a couple of hours later, it was an extremely productive day because who knows, right? I may have come out of that day with a lot of interviews, an opportunity to meet very briefly a few of my heroes, which is kind of cool. That never sucks. And they were nice. That never sucks. I was actually telling Rachel when I saw her, I says, yeah, so this is actually the second time we meet. And I told her the story about the match. And she's like, the first thing she said is like, I says, we played you once. And you beat us, right? It's like, no, I wish. But we did steal one from the first end. She got a good laugh out of that. But yeah, just again, there's a lot. I've been saying this all my life, just from that one experience having played her, because she was really really nice on that day as well, even though she just thumped us, mercilessly thumped us. Um, But she someone that has a reputation or developed a reputation for being somewhat standoffish, and she really isn't. She's just completely delightful. But man, when you see her on TV, she is laser focused. She looks like she is ice cold, and nothing can break her. But she's the absolute sweetest, and like I said, it was the nicest gift wrapping of my butt at curling and having it handed back to me ever. Oh man, I think it was just before they went pro. They were still juniors, their last year, before last year of juniors. So it was like before anybody. Well, I was going to say before anybody knew who Rachel Holman was, but that's not true because they had to. Um, Junior World Championships and Junior Canadian Championship titles patches all along their arm when they came on the ice to play us. I think we're sitting there going, "Oh my God, we never get to play against girls. This is gonna be so much fun." And then it's like, "Oh, we're in trouble, guys. This is gonna be a short match." But that's what I mean. They were. I mean, they knew they were going to win when they came on that ice against us. That there was no doubt about it. But they were really. It was just a delight to play against them. The whole team. Actually, I shouldn't even put that to just Rachel. The whole team were just wonderful. We had a great time. All right, exactly, Kit Linda. Rachel Ullman always looks intimidating when she curls. I know, right? It's just um I don't know. She should. I keep on thinking of that Rocky 3 movie, for those who saw it, that Ivan Drago thing. I must break you. Right? It's sort of like it's like, Rachel, we need to do a quadruple takeout. Like this, and you need to go through a port, like that the rock barely fits through. It's like, yeah, okay, got it. And then just sits in like this, just sits in the hack, and then I imagine, almost, like Terminator, like she's looking at the rock, and you see like the computer screen with all the angles and the vibes and the calculations, it just all of them go. Then she turns around, yep, did that. Doesn't crack a smile, doesn't get, no woohoo, no nothing, just yep, just another day. And walks off the ice. It's very intimidating when you play someone like that who's just ridiculously calm and stone cold and makes absolutely everything, and you know how impossible the shot is. However impossible the shot is, it's not impossible. They've got it. Oh man, but super sweet. So it was, yeah. So I mean, if just that alone was enough. But if out of it comes that I do get a few interviews, and we do get to cover the event, get some accreditation, and we get that interview with Miss Islam. Um, that's a very productive 2.5 hours. So yay me! I'm in a very good mood. I'm in a very, very good mood. Mhm. And I hope you are too, kids and cubs. Let's see. There's a couple of notes. There's things I wanted to make sure I mentioned today before I got into the meat of it. So just let me go there and make sure I've got everything, because we're going to take a second bite into the talking to Canadians portion. Yes, that's the other thing I wanted to just mention. It is, and I am going to probably massacre this in pronunciation, but it is for the Jewish community. It is Hahatzmaut, Yom Ha'atzmaut Day, I think it is, but essentially Israel's Independence Day here today. So for all those observing, just hope everything is wonderful today. I know it's a tough time at the moment. So I hope whatever observations that you will be having today will be will involve family and friends, and lots of laughter and love. We didn't talk about it when the days happened, but April is a Genocide Remembrance, Condemnation, and Prevention Month, and there's a lot of stuff going around the world that's giving the people all the feelings again. But not too long ago, this month, um, um, we have the Jewish community had also observed Yom HaShoah, which is Holocaust and Heroism Remembrance Day, um, primarily observed in Israel by Jewish communities, but it's to mark the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. So a day that's slightly different than the one from the International Holocaust Remembrance Day, which we observe on January 27th, which is the global UN established day, marking the liberation of Auschwitz-Birkenau. Lots of and then we recently had Passover, so lots of holidays and observances and moments of special remembrance for the Jewish community over the past few weeks. So I wanted to mention that, and also because when we're talking about Genocide Remembrance and Condemnation Prevention Month, in 2 days from now, also will be Armenian Genocide Remembrance Day. So a bit of April's a bit of a sad month when you think about it. When you had Good Friday and everything there. And also earlier this month, we also didn't mention it, and I had made a note of it, and I keep on forgetting to mention it. So, as we're talking about all of this stuff now, on April 9th was also the anniversary of the Battle of Vimy Ridge, where Canadians definitely fought valiantly. And lots of observations this month. It also happens to be, if I am not mistaken, uh, Sikh Heritage Month. I didn't even know we had one of those, but we do. So there you go. And good thing we do, right? There's been lots of contributions from the community over quite a while. So the Sikhs have been in Canada for a lot longer than some people might first uh, assume. Let's put it that way. So they've contributed to the communities, contributed a lot to the country over the times. So yes, interesting that we have out and kind of like I said, just interesting that we have that. I didn't know. Every now and then you never know, because we don't have those days necessarily for every community, and um, so I mean I'm sure there is one, but not a lot of them get as a high enough profile. And this one is actually listed on the Government of Canada's Canadian Heritage Important Commemorative Days list. So it's definitely something that has risen to prominence enough, at least in Canada, given the size of the community, to for the government to recognize it as something that is important to observe. So there you go, kids and cubs. Every now and then you just find out these you come across these tidbits of information while you're looking for stuff, and you didn't, and you just like just that little tidbit of information, you know, doesn't change the world or everything, but it just sort of puts things in a slightly different perspective. It's like, oh, I didn't know that. How neat is that? Yay. I like falling about, stumbling upon bits of information like that, where it's like, oh, gee, I didn't know that. I'm going to bed just a little less stupid tonight. Yay, me. All right. Diving into it, kids and cubs, yesterday, feeling like I'm on a soap opera or so, I need that swelling organ music. It's like, yesterday on the True North, eager beaver. On the background of a recently announced greater than $51 billion set aside for infrastructure upgrades and the announcement of a major foreign investment summit to take place in Toronto later this year, the Mark Carney Liberals now have a majority-designate government. The Prime Minister held a modern-day fireside chat, and the leader of the opposition seemed miffed. He was making use of his own preferred method of communication: unidirectional, uninterrupted, and unfiltered by media. Meanwhile, back in Ontario, Doug Ford holds a post-gravy paying backflip press conference to talk to Ontarians. But it seems he couldn't decide whether its objective was to deliver a mea culpa, or to keep making the case for his pre-backflip decision, or to present himself as the real victim. So, like Mariah Carey, he just hit all the notes. Unfortunately, Doug Ford is not Mariah Carey, so it was just a hot mess. And not much of an apology either. And now, on with today's episode of As the Beaver Turns. Ah, my. Geez, swelling organ. Oh, God. Title of my next sex tape. I just realized the accidental humor. It wasn't until Kit Bucky put it in the chat. Swelling organ. Ah, my, my 6-year-old brother from another mother. Kit Linda, I'm hearing dramatic silent movie music in the background. Now I need like that black screen with the caption. No, don't, not now. Okay, okay. Now I'm just being silly. Okay, so yeah, Doug Ford, as we mentioned, Gravy Plane, as we mentioned, still not. We're still not exactly clear, or at least I'm not, on whether or not we uh, had actually bought and paid for the thing, or were in the process of buying the thing, or the thing was already delivered. I'm not quite sure where in the purchase process we are, because Doug Ford is talking as if um, we're going to be selling that plane back for the same amount that we bought it, which I don't think is possible. Um, like I said, again, I'm just not clear where we are in the purchase process, and I'm not the only one, because if we have bought it, uh, isn't a used plane like a used car or a new car? Once you drive it off the lot, it loses a lot of its value right off the bat, and then I may be wrong on this. I don't know nothing. I don't know much about buying either planes or cars. One, they won't let me have a license. Apparently, I'm a menace. But two, I've never engaged in the process before, so I couldn't tell you. And it seems that I have gone back to Fuzzy Beaver. So let's fix that again, because I do like being fuzzy, just not that fuzzy. There we go. Okay. Thank you, Kit Uncover, for putting that little note there. Oh, and also Kit, yeah, go Puffy Beaver first and then Fuzzy Beaver. Ah, man. Uh, um, so yeah, we have, so yeah, Doug Ford backflipped really quickly on this, and the other day we showed you why that may be. Because when you look at the public opinion polling for Doug Ford, um, uh, his lead has definitely shrunk. And if one would assume, as one could, and not be faulted for doing so, that a party does its own public opinion polling and their internal numbers are much more detailed, there may have been something in there that spooked Doug uh, quite intently, because this was record fast. This was record fast. Um, there's some problems for Doug Ford with this. One is one big bad one, and why this sticks is because this is something that goes against his brand. uh, the brand that he's tried to cultivate, right? I'm the little guy, yeah, I don't charge my expenses. And if you mean you don't charge your expenses, like, you know, um, uh, God, I can't even think of anything off the top of my head. But I'm sure that when you're away at work, um, when you have to eat out, um, you don't cover that stuff yourself. Doug Ford likes to claim that he doesn't charge his expenses, but all you need to do is look on the Government of Ontario site, and Doug Ford charges plenty of expenses. So I'm going to guess that in Doug Ford's mind, he distinguishes between what are acceptable expenses and other expenses that are allowed, but maybe he doesn't deem as acceptable and is talking only about those. Um, but that doesn't mean he doesn't expense anything, right? Doug Ford's a little creative when he talks sometimes, for being generous, but it goes against brand. Now, for those who are paying attention, right, it doesn't go against the brand of who is the real Doug Ford. I mean, if you've seen pictures of his cottage, it's not what the average Canadian. It doesn't look like what the average Canadian is talking about when they say cottage, right? Uh, Doug Ford wanted his van cave at first, right? Some very comfy sedan. When Doug Ford was boasting about being the type of premier that would never use the King Air uh, planes that we already had, propeller planes, but planes that we already had, smaller planes, maybe less for legroom. Um, but yeah, he wouldn't take that because uh, that was too luxurious, too indulgent. It was, he would ride everywhere. And then we found out that he wanted $50,000 of additions to that uh, van in order to make it more comfy and stuff of the like. And then he had to pull back on that. And he sure likes hanging around with people who have deep pockets. Uh, they seem to pop up at um, family events like Stag and Does. They just seem to happen to be there. Um, so yeah, uh, uh, I don't think Doug Ford uh, really, if you're paying attention, um, is the type of person that does not like the luxury things. That doesn't like the good life. He may be able to appreciate the simpler things, but I don't think that the man who is on probably more than one occasion said something similar to "God bless the Westons," and we have him on video saying when it comes to Trump and supporting him, "Oh, I'll never waver." That maybe he likes the lifestyle he aspires, as rich as he is. Maybe he aspires to a Trump or Weston like lifestyle, right? Um, I would not be the first to say that Doug Ford does not like the finer things in life, has no appreciation for them. But it's considered off brand for the I'm for the people, I'm for the little guy. especially when they shell out about $30 billion to buy me a jet. And Doug Ford's out there and go, well, it's not my jet, right? It's going to be there for the other premiers and it can be used for be able to be used by other departments and stuff like that. That wasn't clear going into it. In fact, some of the problem with this is that a lot of this wasn't clear going into it. Um, just as we are not clear about where we are actually in the status of the ownership of the thing. Uh, I also have a sense that if the thing was bought and the thing was sold, that there may be lawyers and some commissions involved in that. So I'm not exactly sure how Doug Ford claiming that he's going to get every cent back or something of the like when he sells it, and that we will not be out of pocket in any way, shape, or form for this because he did it, but he listens to the people. So now he's not doing it, according to Doug Ford. Yeah, I wonder which people he listened to, the people to whom he gave his phone number, who might have been flooding his phone going, what the hell are you doing? You can tell that Corey Tenike is off in BC managing the campaign of someone running for the BC Conservative leadership and not at home. I have a feeling that if Corey Tenike were a little closer to home, that thing may not have flown. Oh, man. Um, so yeah, uh, not good, not good for Doug Ford. Um, so Doug Ford decided he was going to have a little press availability because, well, he Canadians, Ontarians specifically, uh, but about the decision and how it came about, and you know to explain himself, I guess. But the whole point here, right? And I'm speaking as a communications guy. You have you made a move. There's a crisis. You know it's going to stick because one, it goes against brand. Two, you can market it. Gravy train, gravy plane, boom, works together. I mean, he got famous on that whole thing of no more gravy train, and now he's got a gay gravy plane. Especially since there's video of him going all around saying, "Oh my God, look at me, how virtuous and how better I am than all of them. I would never ride that plane." And in comes woohoo. uh, yeah, not the best. And the other thing, Doug Ford, who just recently, with the FOI, Freedom of Information Request thing, is out there telling people, I'm the most transparent ever. Nobody is more transparent than me. Um, buys a plane, announces that a plane is bought or is in the process of being bought, purchased, or whatever, or that they have it. Uh, weeks after the Ontario budget. When was the Ontario budget tabled? It was tabled on Thursday, March 26th, 2022. Hmm, interesting. Uh, and just a short while later, on the 17th of April, a Friday, the 17th, of course, because this is the type of news that, right, you announce on a Friday because you're so proud of it. And you know that nobody will find anything wrong or object to it, right? The news that you drop on Friday is the news that you hope everybody is talking about for the whole weekend after, right? That you hope that people stop and notice as they exhale from their week and decide to make that the subject of their weekend. because why else would you drop a piece of news on a Friday, especially about a $30 million purchase uh, in a time where people are struggling, in a time where you recently ran in an election claiming that Ontario needed to be protected and therefore Ontarians. He didn't put it in the budget. At no time before the time we found out that this was, or we were told, it seemed to have been a done deal. Uh, was the idea floated by us? Did someone make the case for it? Did someone do the analysis of this is how much we are spending in charters and this is how much less we will spend in charters? This is how much more efficient we'll be. Even more so if we allow other ministers to use it, even more so if we allow it to be used in certain cases like emergencies or evacuations. To do the work of telling us that, Quebec has three and showing us how they use it, that Manitoba has one, making the geography case. There's a case here to be made. But Doug Ford didn't do that. Doug Ford didn't share it with us. Doug Ford didn't ask us. Doug Ford didn't run it by us. Not even a trial balloon. Now, when somebody, because I'm sure this happens to us every day in our household, goes along and makes a unilateral $30 million purchase and decides not to let us know that it is coming before it is made. Um, does that sound to you a lot like I am going to behave in such a way that indicates that I am going to ask for forgiveness because I know if I ask for permission, there's no way I'm going to get it? Since we're talking about being 6-year olds today. I want the plane. Well, it's optically going to look terrible, but I want the plane. Yes, but Ontarians are not going to be happy about it. But boss, the plane, the plane. I want the plane. So Doug Ford, even though he knows it's against brand, even though it knows it doesn't look good, even though he knows better than to ask for permission, opts for asking for forgiveness, buys the plane. And it doesn't go well for him. As one would expect, he should be able to know before he bought the plane, but clearly he didn't. So there's a few reasons, potential reasons for that. One, he really, 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 really wanted that plane, or oh man. So yeah, uh, he really wanted that plane, or he felt entitled to it, or he just felt that after all these years, um, and those three majorities, and the lead he had, um, that he was comfortable enough that he could just have it like that. Oh, honey, yeah, we've been together 8 years. Oh, by the way, I bought a plane. What's for dinner? Just casually. And that's going to be okay because he's got it like that. You were looking at that $30 million and looking at the number of nurses you could hire, but Doug has decided that he needs plane. And he's just let you know that's what it is. Mhm. What do you mean the chicken Kiev tastes funny? I made it the same way I always do. uh, yeah. Or, or, and this is something I mentioned when I was talking to Laura Babcock. I'm not sure if it made it in the show or was on the editing room floor, but or we should entertain this possibility. Doug Ford, again, as I mentioned, those internal polling numbers are so bad that he knows that this is his last term. And therefore, knowing that it is his last term while he still has majority, this is the time. Uh, uh, all the stuff that he had planned to do that would have been in the vein of the pattern that seems to have been established of allegedly treating Ontarians as an ATM and repeatedly sticking his debit card into us to drain us in order to redistribute, reverse Robin Hood, redistribute what we own to his um, richer buddies and friends, developers and Westons and others alike, therm spa people and all of that. And therefore, all the plans that he had, because Doug Ford has expressed that he would be quite okay remaining premier for life, I'm sure he would. Um, But uh, all that money he had planned to maybe redistribute over the next, I don't know how many years he thought he could remain in power. Well, that out now that has to all go out the door now. He's going to be trying some stuff. If he knows his time's up, how much can he get away with? How much of the province's collective wealth can he transfer into other pockets or hand away uh, as contracts for big projects like tunnels under the 401 or something like that? That would be ridiculously expensive to cancel, of course. But how much can he pre-commit of our current and future money so that if the next government comes in, they have nothing to work with? How fast can he siphon us in the time he's got left? That would be my guess of how it goes from now on. Um, and the more he does it, and the more he gets caught, and it will probably be an increasing loop as time gets shorter, because the less successful that he is along the way, the bigger gambles he will have to take, and less time he will have to try to conceal it, if this is indeed what the plan is, and therefore more of these things are probably going to pop to light. That's my impression of how it's going to go. Because I'm noticing something with Doug Ford and Pierre Poilievre these days. Both of them might be hearing the tick, 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 tick of the clock that time is up. And both of them are being particularly snivelly and whiny these days. Pierre Poilievre with his video. It's like, the prime minister made another YouTube video. Like this, like, again, it's like, you have a problem with people making YouTube videos, dude? The guy who had MGTOW hashtag on his YouTube channel for years? The guy who seems to have another video like two a week where you're stealing Rick Mercer's bit, just not making it funny or particularly thoughtful or inspiring? You have a problem with people making videos now. You're the guy who's been complaining about the prime minister being all over the world getting these photo ops for meetings and not getting any results now says the prime minister only makes YouTube videos when that's your shtick. Okay. Yes, and normally Pierre's videos, he's walking and he's got these edits and cuts and whatnot, and they're highly produced and whatnot. And this one, he just like rushed to the back of a desk and just, crammed it out. He needed to get that out super quick. And then complaining about this and that, like it just sounds whiny. So Doug Ford decided to reverse himself. He knew it was bad. He knew it was really bad because he reversed himself super quick. Now, normally, talking to you as a PR person here, when you screw up that badly, when you screw up that immensely, um, you want the story to go away. You want the story to go away. You want it to be a 1 or 2 day story, and that's it. So you come out and you make a fulsome apology. You take full responsibility. You promise it will never happen again. If you have the ability, you announce a couple of things to indicate that you're taking action to make sure it will never happen again. Not only it won't happen again, but I also will make sure it won't happen again by putting this in place. And then you try to never speak of it again. You don't allude to it, you don't refer to it, and you don't make any announcements or decisions or show up in any place that has any type of connection to what it is that you're trying to get people to forget. So, for example, if you're Donald Trump and you're trying to make the Epstein files go away, when your wife suddenly just holds a press conference out of the blue saying, "I had nothing to do with the Epstein files," it's like, gee, thanks for bringing that up now. I was trying to get everybody to forget that, but thanks. So helpful of you, right? You don't do anything of that kind. um, Doug Ford didn't go to whatever media school or communication school I went to because Doug Ford definitely did not do that. There should be like a 3 to 4 minute, 5 minute statement max. Total remorse. And nothing else. Well, Doug Ford, he decided to go another way. Let's just put it that way. All right. So let's take a look at him here. I'm not sure if you're picking up that noise. There's a lot of noise coming from the yard next door there. Um, oh, yes. Kid Linda. I want to meet these people who called him up telling him to keep the damn plane. Really? Yeah. Those people are not your friends, Doug. Kit Linda also here says, someone looked it up and the plane in question never changed ownership to the province. It remained in the name of the company that owned it. Okay. So then maybe just a fee for having not gone committed and not gone through with the contract here. Kit Kat here goes, recently Ford looks like a deer caught in headlights. Indeed. Indeed. Oh, here's some good other news here. EU ambassadors approve $90 billion loan for Ukraine after Hungary lifts veto, reports Radio Free Europe journalist Rikard Józwiak. Good stuff. Wow, Magyars are really acting quickly there. That's good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Yes, indeed, Kit Linda. Ontario has a couple of planes and some copters. Apparently, the OPP recently bought a plane, and that's something that the Premier has been using, it seems, when he needs to go to further flung places. Kit Linda here talking about Pierre. Pierre is as jealous of Carney as he was of Trudeau. And then Tavi G here. Yes, PP calling the minister for AI the artificially intelligent minister in question period yesterday was disgraceful. Imagine having to sit behind him as an MP. No wonder there are floor crossings. Yeah, indeed. Again, the reverting back to the childhood thing, the little wounded child, the little 6-year-old boy go, but he hit first, but I want the plane, but right? There just seems again, right, that thing. It's like we can't let women weed because they're too emotional. I mean, if you look at the behavior of Pierre Poilievre and Doug Ford, the way that they have been lashing out the last little bit, uh, childish would not be unfair. All right, let's Doug Ford here.
Well, it's great to be here in Ottawa, and I guess the topic that we're going to talk about is the plane. And I heard loud, I heard loud and clear because I'm the only person in the world that gives out a cell number. And I heard loud and clear from the people that this was not the time to purchase a plane. So I've directed the staff, provincial staff, to be in contact, which they are, with Bombardier, sell it immediately and at the same cost. We took possession last week. I immediately sent that message out to the media. I heard from the people, and I'm the premier that listens to the people. If they don't like something, I'm not too shy to change my mind and say, okay, this isn't the time to move on. I also understand the scrutiny, you know.
All right. So Doug Ford is doing one of the things that he often does when he's in trouble. First of all, comes up to the mic, treats it like it's an open mic night at the comedy club. Hey, it's great to be in Ottawa. Just put a brick wall behind him instead of those decals there, and give him a mic. Now, you'll see that early on, because I'm the only person who gives out his cell phone number. There's going to be a lot of that in this video. I'm the only one. I'm the only person. Nobody is more than this than me. More than actually, I forgot to say this is not actually. This is more an interview with Donald Ford than Doug Ford. Because it's amazing just how much he behaves like Donald Trump. Of course, Canadian style, right? But he's there, smiling and doing the all shucks thing, right? Because I'm the premier who listens to the people, and the people told me it wasn't okay, so I listened to them, right? Mm. Uh, let's keep going on this one here. Just go back a couple of seconds so that you can get where the thing cut off, and let's keep going.
You know, there's no one in this country that is scrutinized more than I am. I'm willing to take that.
There is nobody in the country who is scrutinized more than I am, Doug Ford says. The guy who's gotten away with so much over the past couple of years. There's nobody in the country more scrutinized than I am. If that is true, sir, maybe it's because you are doing things that are worthy of lots of scrutiny. Maybe even investigation. If I say, oh, I don't know, the RCMP. Isn't there one of those things going on right now? Haven't heard from them for a while, haven't we? Yeah. Not like in Alberta, where we keep on hearing about what's going on in their investigations, but not in Ontario. Wonder why that is. Doug, fly around in the OPP plane. Keep on showing him at events wearing the OPP bomber jacket. Wonder why that is. Doug. Nobody is more scrutinized than me, and I'm prepared to take it. Really? Because right now, it seems that you're whining about the little bit of scrutiny you're finally getting. Let's keep going.
What kind of really disturbs me is the inconsistency with the media. We have the federal government, rightfully so, and let's put the prime minister to the side.
So now we enter I'm the real victim here portion of the show, right? Nobody has more scrutiny than me.
That they went out and bought $753 million of jets for the ministers, rightfully so, by the way. We live in a massive country. No word. When it comes to the Quebec, buying $107 million of 3 jets, which I agree. They live in a massive province. No scrutiny. But when I do it, I guess there's a double standard, and that's my position.
Okay. When you do it, sir, you announce it as a done deal. You had a budget, a month and 11 days prior to you doing this, and you made no mention, unless it was included in miscellaneous items or something. And again, why would you include the purchase of a plane in miscellaneous items if, again, you are hoping that you can buy it and not have that scrutiny, as was the case in Quebec, as is the case for the Canadian fleet of Challengers that are being replaced. Oh, yeah, but we talked about those, however, before we did it, didn't we? Maybe that's the reason, Doug Ford, because you seem to be talking about it as if you made your purchase in the exact same clear and transparent way that everybody else you're comparing yourself to did, Doug. But did you, Doug? Yeah, it's really interesting when you go to the mic and keep on trying to sell the idea that you are allegedly trying to back away from, which is the whole reason of this press conference, and yet you are not. Again, I'm hearing a 6-year-old. I know I didn't get the plane, but I really, really wanted the plane. It's a nice plane. And Quebec has one, and Manitoba has one, and Canada has one. Why can't I have one? It's normal to want a plane. Everybody else does. I should be able to have a plane. I can't believe how unfair it is that I want a plane like everybody else has, and people are asking me questions, but they didn't ask them questions. Don't talk to me about having done it behind everybody's back and trying to slip it in. That doesn't matter. They have planes. Is this guy for real here? Exactly. Right? Kid Saucy. The cookie jar needs a shock lid. Linda, the scrutiny was during public announcements before the purchases. Hello. What concerns the rest of us, Doug, is the absolute consistency. You seem to get caught with your hand in the cookie jar every year. Most premier do one bad thing and get caught. You never give up, says Kit PNC Bio. Boom. Thank you, sir, for saying it. Thank you. Kid Saucy, always with the attacking of the media. This is a rerun for 20 years. Yet, Nona Carol, his body language is, I'm scared. Yes. I didn't take the cookie, really. I didn't. Can't you tell by my eyes that are really wide open? And my smile? And me really trying to look like this is just another thing. Totally normal thing. Don't know why everybody got upset about it, but that's okay. If you're upset, I won't do it. You know, my bad. Right up there with, it was just a joke. Can't you take a joke? Right up there with that. Let's keep going. Dougie Disastros. To allegedly distance himself from this purchased, allegedly.
Have to take that. But I just want to explain to the people, our province is massive. I have to get to the north numerous times. There are no charter flights up in the north. And speaking of charter flights, no premier in the history of this province. When I took office, I sold the 2 planes. I think people didn't think that premiers had planes. They've had planes ever since the inception of premiers flying on the plane. I flew charter for 6 years. And no premier's ever done that. And I don't begrudge anyone. I don't begrudge the ministers. They need it, right? Federal ministers. Quebec needs it. Former premiers need it. I chose not to do that and flew charter. Now what's happening, charter, they're canceling stops in pretty well majority of all northern jurisdictions, or they'll have one flight going into Thunder Bay or one flight maybe into Sudbury. I hear they're canceling the Sudbury side, one of the airlines. So I got to find another mode of transportation. And, that's what it comes down to. I'll give you an example. The why. Well, it's always the why. Why did I do it? This was
Help me, I'm talking and I can't shut up.
not Doug Ford's plane. I'm going to repeat that. It was not Doug Ford's plane. It was a government plane used by multiple ministries. I'll give you one example. Ontario Corps. If we need to send a team up north where no charter flights are, no commercial flights are, we charter a flight. We charter a flight for firefighters going up to fight wildfires. And I thought if it's a multi-ministerial plane for the province, not my personal plane that the media wants to paint it out to be, which was never the case. Yes, am I going to use it? 100%. But it was for multiple ministries that could use it. And I'll give you an
All right. 1, 2, 1, 2. Do you hear me? 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, we have sound. Okay, yay. I had to just go in and out of the studio, it seems, and that rejigged it. All right, I'm gonna have to put yet another note at the end of the show to tell people to jump a huge portion. But okay, uh, so I'm just gonna take a little gap here. All right, kits and cubs. Sorry about that. Don't know why the sound just cut out on us, but I exited the studio and re-entered, and everything seems to be working now. So let's go back to Doug Ford, and at this press conference here, where he is still seems to be trying to make the case for the plane instead of simply accepting responsibility for a screw up. In fact, Doug Ford seems to be saying here that there was no screw up. Actually, Kits and Cubs, I forgot the reason I had cut to the video was to read something to you into it. And Doug Ford was talking about, he needs this plane to go to all these places in the north. And there was some kits that put some comments about this in the chat earlier today. And I heard this before coming on the show today. But according to Nicole Brockbank and Sarah McMillan of CBC News, it says here, the $28.9 million private jet the Ontario government purchased and Premier Doug Ford has now committed to sell would only have been able to fly in and out of about 10% of recognized airports in the province, according to CBC News analysis. Bombardier's technical specifications for its 650 Challenger jet show it requires a distance of 5,650 feet to take off at its maximum weight, which means it couldn't use the vast majority of airports in Ontario at full capacity, as they have runways shorter than that, according to runway dimension data from NAV Canada. Aviation industry standard is in feet rather than meters. Those limitations raise questions about how the private jet would have helped the Premier travel around Northern Ontario, one of his justifications for needing the jet, and how the plane would have fulfilled other government uses, Ford described at Queen's Park on Tuesday. So now we're getting to the point where Doug Ford has to do this hastily put together a press conference because he got caught because the cookie lid jar slammed on his hand pretty hard. And as Kit suggested, was probably electrified, which made him scream, ah, and then run to a mic to have to justify after the fact why it is he did that to make it look good. And when people do that, then people tend to look into your after the fact justifications and see if they actually hold true. And here we are finding out that some of Doug Ford's claims as to why he needed it and did that were pretty much, oh, what's the word? Bullshit? Yeah, that's the word. Yep, bullshit. Quote, sending firefighters up north to fight wildfires, or if we had floods, or if we had to bring people when we evacuate First Nations communities and we had to get them down, and we would do that, Ford said. Right now, we're chartering planes, and when you evacuate, you want to evacuate the elder, the children. I know it's small, but if you can take 2 or 3 trips. CBC News cross-referenced a list of Ontario airports recognized by the Federal Aviation Authority with runway data from a copy of NAV Canada's Canada Flight Supplement from 2021 to determine the longest runway at airports across the province. After removing airports that have closed from the list, CBC found the province's Challenger jet would only have been able to use 19 of Ontario's 179 operational airports based on the distance it needs to take off at its maximum weight and the length of available runways. Again, Kits and Cubs, let me reiterate, would only have been able to use 19 of the 179 operational airports. You know what that is, Kits and Cubs? That is 10.614525%. We need to spend $30 million so that Doug Ford can land at 10.6% of the airports in the province. One of the 19 airports is CFB Trenton, a military base. The majority of the other 18 airports with long enough runways operate scheduled commercial flights. Those include international airports like Toronto, Thunder Bay, Windsor, London, Hamilton, and regional airports like Greater Sudbury, Waterloo, and Sault Ste. Marie. Toronto's Billy Bishop Airport could not currently handle the Challenger 650 jet at full capacity with its 3,988-foot runway. Recently, Ford said his government plans to take over the City of Toronto's stake in the island airport to expand the runway and allow jets to fly in and out. Wonder if that dropped down the priority list now. CBC News provided its findings and questions concerning them to the Premier's office. In an email, spokesperson Hannah Jensen said she'd let the Premier's answers to reporters on Tuesday stand as the government's response. That is bureaucratese for... When asked Tuesday about whether there are a lot of places the jet wouldn't have been able to land, Ford said, just up in the far, far north where there's dirt runways. Yeah, just up in the far, far north where there's dirt runways. So we are supposed to believe that 160 of our airports are up in the far, far north where there's dirt runways. For what Doug Ford says to be true, consistent with the data that we have here. Runway dimension data shows there are 67 airports in Ontario with a paved asphalt runway the Challenger 650 still wouldn't be able to use when flying at full capacity because they're not long enough for the jet to take off. Each flight may not be cut and dry, however. Carl Chekas, an aviation consultant, says the takeoff distance for the Challenger 650 would change if the jet was not carrying its maximum weight. If the aircraft is not fully loaded full fuel, then it can actually land on less runway, he said. If you're flying the Challenger with 6 to 9 people and you're not loaded with as much fuel because you're going less distance, well, then you would need less runway. Chekas said changes to the takeoff distance required would depend on a number of factors specific to an individual flight. Most of the Ontario airports with runways that fall short of the Challenger 650's takeoff distance at 5,600 feet at full capacity are more than 1,000 feet shorter. Other small passenger planes the province already owns can access the majority of Ontario's airports with their shorter takeoff distance requirements at maximum weight. The Ontario Provincial Police purchased a 6-passenger Pilatus PC-24 jet late last year, which only needs 3,090 feet to take off. As a result, that jet can fly in and out of 98 more airports in Ontario than the Challenger at capacity, according to runway dimension data. Quote, that's a totally different aircraft. It's capable of landing on gravel airstrips. It's able to use shorter runways than the Challenger, said Stefan Watkins, a research consultant who specializes in flight tracking. So why wouldn't Doug Ford be purchasing a jet like that if it's to get to all those remote places that he needs to get to, especially since we're going to be doing much more mining now? Quote, why the OPP would come to a different conclusion and pick a completely different plane that seems more suitable to Ontario runways than the Premier would choose for doing travel allegedly within the province as well as internationally, I didn't understand, Watkins said. Luciano Braganza, an aviation journalist at Aviation, says the Challenger 650 is a heavy business jet which isn't versatile like the Pilatus PC-24 acquired by the OPP. Quote, the Challenger has more range, it has a larger cabin, but to be accessible to those smaller airports in Ontario, it's more difficult than a more versatile jet, he said. In addition to the OPP's new jet, it also owns 2 Pilatus PC-12 prop planes, which have an even shorter takeoff distance of 2,485 feet and can take up to 6 passengers. The pair can access 139 of the 179 airports in Ontario, according to runway dimension data. Going forward, without the Challenger jet, the Premier said he'll go back to the way he's already been traveling. Quote, I'll continue taking commercial, Ford said on Tuesday. I'll continue going on the OPP plane, and there are times that I'm going to have to charter the odd flights to get to point A and get through there to point B and point C and make things happen. The decision to sell the used Challenger 650 was announced Sunday, just days after the jet's purchase was revealed, then met with backlash from opposition parties and advocacy groups. So, yeah, the song and dance that he's doing here, not jiving with the facts. But let's keep watching Doug Ford, deer in the headlights. I'm an honorable person. I would never do anything wrong. I only live to serve the people. Look, can't you tell by my wide open eyes? Oh, Doug. Let's keep going.
Which was never the case. Yes, am I going to use it? 100%. But it was for multiple ministries that could use it. And I'll give you one example of, we had to get down to Texas because we're fighting the tariffs. There's no one been louder in the whole world against President Trump than what I've been. But we have to
Again, there's no one louder in fighting President Trump than I've been. No one louder. That's the third, I think. There's no one more, no one louder, or whatever than me. Let's also remind here that it has been confirmed many times over now, not only by the U.S. government, but by our own, that we were on the verge of having a great deal before Doug Ford went away and aired that commercial against the advice of the Prime Minister. Doug Ford blew up whatever negotiations were existing at the time. And actually, I find that really interesting because considering how much the federal conservatives hate the provincial conservatives in Ontario, you think that Pierre would be spreading the love around in terms of whose fault this is, instead of trying to blame it all on Mark Carney and his alleged bad education in economics that he picked up at Oxford. But anyway, I move on. Oh, let's get back to Doug. He's dancing.
diversify our trade all around the world. But we also have to continue communicating with our largest customer in the world, and that's the United States. I flew down into Texas. I had 13 appointments in 2 days and one morning in 3 cities. I went to Austin. It's all on media. I went to Austin. I went to Dallas. I went to Houston. We brought back, and I'm being super conservative, over $6 billion of investments here in Ontario, thousands and thousands of jobs. You can get on the phone, you can get on a Zoom call. Nothing is better than sitting across the table from your customer, meaning our customer, saying, come to Ontario, and telling them all the great things about the quality of the people here in Ontario. That's part of a premier's job. People don't realize how large Ontario is unless you've flown it. And flown it many times from north, south, east, west. It's twice the size of Texas. It's larger than France and Spain combined. So I have to do my job, and I'm going to continue doing it the way I always do. I'm going to continue working 7 days a week, 18 hours a day.
Sure, you're working 7 hours, 7 days a week, 18 hours a day. And if you are, how come you haven't solved hallway medicine yet then? What are you working on? Because you're not working on anything for us. Just saying. Let's keep going.
Like any other premier does, and continue serving the people. I understand their concerns. I understand the cost of fuel is going up. I understand groceries are going up. I understand everything is going up and it's costly. And I do appreciate the calls that I received saying this is not the time right now. I also appreciate the calls that said, yes, this is justified. So we're doing it. We're moving forward. We're going to continue growing the economy. And I'm going to continue visiting everyone in the North that relies on me showing up to announce a long-term care, a hospital, a new company that's going up in the North. It's part of the job. So that's the other side of the story. And one last thing, because it's all around cost and money, right?
All right. So that whole section that he just did has absolutely nothing to do with why he would need a Challenger plane. There are plenty of planes to Texas. There's no lack of planes to Texas. To find one that's going to be convenient and on your schedule is not going to be that too difficult. Once you're in Texas, there are plenty of ways from get from city to city. If you don't need your own Challenger, there's no lack of air support there. Just having a Challenger jet does not allow you to get to Texas any more easily than flying commercial does in order to be able to have that face-to-face conversation that's better. Sir. None of that was convincing. All right. Let's see what else he's got for us here. Because he's got another thing.
Everyone's talking about the money. And I've saved millions by not flying the King Air and so on and so forth. I'm the only, and I never brought this up, but since I'm getting hammered about the money.
Again, another I'm the only.
I'm the only premier or MPP for their MPP expenses, which I don't begrudge. Everyone needs to have expenses. I have expensed zero. Think of that. Zero for 8 years. I pay for it out of my own pocket, and I don't begrudge any MPPs. I'm just saying, if you're talking, nickels and dimes and dollars and hundreds and thousands of dollars, I pay out of my own pocket. And I've never promoted that. But since it's all about dollars and cents, I have to tell the people of Ontario, that's what's happening. I'll always be frugal. I'll always respect the taxpayers' money, and I'll always listen and never be too shy. Like a lot of politicians, they dig their heels in. I think I've proven over and over and over again, if I hear from the people they don't like it, I change my mind. So that's where we're at, folks. I'll take any questions. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Doug Ford. By the way, I pay everything from my own pocket. Nobody else does that. Only me. I give up my cell phone number. Nobody does that. Only me. Yeah. Matt Gurney of the Toronto Star has an opinion piece based on what he heard, and think he kind of nails it here. At least where the title is, and of course the journalist doesn't write the title, but opinion. Hear me out. The plane was a good idea. Doug Ford's mistake was given in. Now, the rest of the article, of course, is actually making the case that the plane was indeed a good idea and that Doug Ford should do it. And like I said, there is, one could make it, I said myself, I could be convinced. But if you're going to do the right thing, even if it's unpopular, like for example, at this time, buying a plane doesn't look like a popular thing to do, of course. But there is a good case that can be made. You go out, you make the case, and you bring people along with you. But that's not what happened. It's not what happened here. John Michael McGrath from TV Ontario has a interesting take on this. Not for the first time, Premier Doug Ford finds himself having to retreat from a position because he seems to have forgotten a pretty basic part of democratic politics. The voters get a vote, even if you're several years away from the next election. After purchasing a private jet with taxpayer money, Ford has announced he'll sell it, all because nobody around the Premier thought to argue that this was the kind of thing that would be politically toxic to present to voters as a fait accompli, or if anyone did, they failed to convince the boss. Ford acknowledged on Monday that he should have tried to make the case affirmatively to the public before buying the jet, but then he engaged in an utterly mystifying communication strategy, complaining about how hard done by he is. "That's why I'm here today, to tell the other side of the story," Ford said. "I'm under scrutiny more than the Prime Minister, more than any premier in the entire country. The inconsistencies from the media are just mind-boggling to me." Yeah, what's mind-boggling to us is that you thought you could get away with this. If the premier wants to talk about inconsistency, the people who love him might want to strongly urge him to change the subject. Buying a private jet with public funds is the kind of thing that would have Doug Ford absolutely livid if anyone else was the occupant of the premier's office. The $28.9 million cost of the jet amounts to $10,000 per day for every day since Ford was sworn into office in June 2018. Ford came into office promising to fire the CEO of Hydro One for receiving a $6 million salary. The jet could have paid that CEO's salary for 4 years and then some. Even members of his own caucus, people who in a very literal sense owe their jobs to him, are reportedly telling Global News that this is poisonous to his brand, with one even speculating that this is the beginning of the end of his political career or his undoing. The premier is mad because he thinks the media are holding him to a double standard, and I can tell him as a paid-up member of the media, nobody ever cared about our standards. Ford voters care about Ford's standards. And since we are talking about the people from his own party who may have some issues with this, this is from Colin DeMello and Isaac Callan of Global News here. They're saying that it could be the decision to buy the jet in the middle of an affordability challenge could be a toxic combination that could erode the public's confidence in his government. Do you really think? Gee. Beyond Doug Ford's anger, however, political watchers believe the jet, which the opposition dubbed as the gravy plane, could permanently damage Ford's brand, which he has been carefully curating over the course of decades. Quote, "He's the premier who would just not sit on commercial flights, but book a seat at the very back of the plane so he would have to walk through and everybody would see him sitting at the back of the plane. Those were the kinds of things that I think people found he was one of them," said David Coletto, CEO of Abacus Data. Being hypocritical is often poison for a politician because it undermines a trust that's already weakly held. Most people don't trust politicians generally, and so when you can build some trust and you squander it, maybe if it didn't tend to by doing something like this, it may not come back. Even for progressive conservatives speaking on condition of anonymity to share frank views, the plane was a bridge too far. Quote, "Ending the gravy train was what Doug Ford ran on during the first campaign," one party member told Global News. "He's eradicated his brand," they've added. "This is the start of his undoing." Other party members agreed with the assessment, calling it a communications, quote, "disaster," and an issue that makes the premier look, quote, "arrogant." And that press conference sure didn't help with that. Government House Leader Steve Clark said people in his writing were, quote, "rightly upset about the purchase of the plane given the situation in the province." Quote, "So many people are feeling the pinch," Clark said. Quote, "Governments make mistakes. We're not perfect." Asked whether this poses a long-term threat to the brand, Clark pointed to the 2025 election campaign, which delivered the PCs a third-straight majority government despite the Greenbelt scandal. Ford's defenders, however, see the situation differently. Quote, "Part of the brand he has cultivated over the last 8 years is that he makes mistakes, he owns them, and the public forgives them," another progressive conservative said on a not-for-attribution basis. "His brand is," quote, "he's imperfect," the Tory said. "He misspeaks, he screws up, but he's just like you. You're not perfect, your neighbors aren't perfect." Still, Coletto argues the jet combined with the government changes to freedom of information laws to exempt the premier and his cabinet from disclosing their government records, and you could add to that the attack on students with OSAP, could prove to be a double whammy of negative sentiment. Quote, "I think anytime someone has a negative view of someone, it's hard to change their mind, whether it's a politician, a brand, a friend, somebody who you feel lets you down. It's hard to build that trust back up. For some conservatives, it's a sign of a larger issue." Quote, "This is a symptom of a government that's long in the tooth," one source said. "They're no different than the very people they replaced. They're now even worse." While Ford supporters believe the negative headlines over the jet will hurt the party in the polls, they don't think it will be, quote, "fatal." But one insider said it serves as a wake-up call, quote, "to get back to his roots. Remember how and why he got elected and how and why he's here," the supporter said. "Ultimately, that's going to serve him well." Back to the main article here. John Michael McGrath continues. Let me put some cards on the table. The Premier of Ontario is a chief executive of an organization that spends $200 billion annually and makes life and death decisions every single day. The productivity of the person holding that office is actually pretty important, and I don't think it's necessarily correct to say, quote, commercial is good enough for normal people, it should be good enough for politicians. Extend that attitude far enough, and you get what ought to be a national scandal, the deplorable state of 24 Sussex Drive in Ottawa, and the Prime Minister of Canada living somewhere other than their official residence because nobody can grasp the nettle of rehabilitating it. Mentioned that on the show the other day. If this was just one blown call in an otherwise unblemished record of political acumen, the Premier and his party could dismiss this incident as a tempest in a teapot. But this is only the most recent example of Ford springing unpleasant news on the electorate with little in the way of justification or even preparation. Arguably, the first time the government was forced to back down on something like this was the 2019 budget, retroactive in-year cuts to cities and public health agencies. But we could also cite the attempt to open up the Greenbelt for development. It follows a predictable script, the policies announced with little attempt to convince the public of its necessity, followed by some period of rationalization before eventually abandoning the effort. The Tories keep talking themselves into these problems not because the outcome isn't foreseeable, but because they keep trying to make these decisions behind closed doors. If the Premier really thinks he deserves a private jet, then as I say, I'm willing to hear the actual argument. Put it in the budget, force PC MPPs to stand up in the House and defend it, and then vote in favor of it. Ford should do this not just because it's good democratic process, but because the alternative, as we've seen this week, is as welcome to voters as me announcing to my wife that I've blown the kids' college fund on a motorcycle as part of a midlife crisis. Again, if you believe it's the right thing to do, it doesn't absolve you of the obligation of doing the right thing in the right way. And that's one thing with Doug Ford is that you can always count on Doug Ford, even if he does the right thing, to do it in the wrong way. And you can rarely count on Doug Ford to do the right thing to start with. But when he does do it, he always does it the wrong way. One final point here for members of the PC caucus at Queen's Park to consider. They are being asked this week to vote to make it easier for the Premier to make decisions behind closed doors and to lock those doors even more firmly. Government House Leader Steve Clark has presented a motion to whip the budget measures bill through the legislature without committee hearings, including the section that will eviscerate Ontario's freedom of information laws. Many in this government find journalists and their insistence on factual answers annoying. Fine. But the events of the last few days are a reminder that a culture of insularity and secrecy is bad for governments, and Tories might want to ask whether leaning into that dysfunction is really what they need right now. Boom. Wow. That is very that was very well written by John Michael McGrath and very well argued. So yeah, glad I stumbled upon that one. But that's true. He is absolutely correct. This is leaning into the dysfunction is something that this party does not need. Something that the federal Conservatives don't need either, but it seems that both of them are doing it. Same thing with the Alberta UCP. Three main pillars of the Conservative movement in Canada seem to be having some major issues and are responding to it. I like that term, leaning into the dysfunction, rather than trying to move away from it. Doug Ford was asked a few questions during the press conference. Admitting, for example, that as the article says here, because he didn't mention it in the speech, but said that he should have been out of the story earlier. But he says, I should have been out Wednesday and Thursday, you needed to be out way before just Wednesday and Thursday, the 2 days before it became public, in between the day you made the purchase and went public. You need to be preparing people for that, like for a while. He goes, but you're right, and that's why I'm here today to tell the other side of the story. And then, of course, the thing that he is supposed to be doing here is taking full accountability. And he's not really doing that here. as you can tell by all the, I did it, but I have an explanation, but it was the right thing, but it's a good idea, but other people have it, but, right? That's not taking accountability. But here's Doug Ford trying to claim that he's here specifically for the purposes of taking accountability.
Yes.
Yourself in your political
Yes.
career on being able to read public opinion.
That's right.
But to this whole scenario, how it went wrong,
Yeah.
how did it go wrong? Who made the idea? Who had the idea to buy the plane and then not do the business case for it?
Yeah. So at the end of the day, folks, everything falls on my shoulders. I take full responsibility. But again,
I take full responsibility, but again, you're not taking full responsibility, Doug.
When we're under scrutiny, I'm under scrutiny more than the Prime Minister, more than any Premier in the entire country.
No, you're not.
When you see the federal government go out, and the inconsistencies from the media is just mind-boggling to me, which I agree with them buying a fleet of planes for the ministers because they have to travel. I'm in favor of it. But spending $753 million compared to the $29 million, folks, Ontario is the 20th largest GDP economy in the world. I'm going to repeat that. 20th largest GDP in the world. I have to get around. I have to go to the U.S. more. I have to head to Utah to meet the governors. I have to head to South Carolina to meet the southeastern governors. It's part of the job. And then again, Quebec, they need jets. They bought 3 jets. And it makes life so much easier. If I didn't charter a plane, which the media was there and I was transparent, I wouldn't have been able to gather over $6 billion of investment from Texas, visit 3 cities, 13 appointments in 2.1 days.
So this wasn't a mistake, what you're saying.
Well, you listen to the people. You listen to the people. I get it. The inflation and the cost of living and so on and so forth. But my job is to bring more to the province, more jobs to the province. The foundation of our healthcare, of our education, of the infrastructure right here. The second largest spend in the country at Ottawa General Hospital. Uploading 174, talking about uploading the LRT. Is one thing, it's our economy. And if I don't drive the message of our economy, and my great minister, Vic Fideli, oh, by the way, I want to add him to the MPPs that spend zero. I don't know how the guy does it, but he travels around the world. But he does an incredible job bringing jobs to this province. There's over 1 million more people working today than when I took office because of the conditions and the climate we've created here. Sure. I'm sorry, I'll get to you 1 second, I'm sorry.
Has been in the position for a year, and how has he improved Canada-US relations?
Well, I know the ambassadors out there. I've met them a few times. We want to work collaboratively with our closest friends and allies. But let me tell the folks in Ontario and across Canada, Americans love us. When I was down in Texas, they rolled out the red carpet. They talked about us being their number one customer. And yes, we're their number one customer, and how they can't wait to get these tariffs over with, to move forward with CUSMA or USMCA, depending on what side of the border you're on. That's what they want to do.
So Doug Ford is clearly much more comfortable, as you can see, on this terrain than on the terrain of dealing with the plane here. But this whole thing, again, of Americans love us, we love Americans, Trump loves you, Americans love you, this message that we keep on getting brought back. Jamil Giovanni says, Trump loves you, and Pierre Poilievre went on his states. He goes, but our biggest thing is that Americans and I are friends, and Americans love us. And it's like, that's not a big deal, right? We don't really care about that at this moment. If we don't need that kind of love. Here's Doug Ford being asked here about the fact that the news just seemed to be sprung.
It was such a good idea to buy the plane. Why'd you keep it in the seat?
Yeah, well, it wasn't a secret. When we took possession of it, we went immediately. We released it to the media. But again, but why? Well, let me tell you something. We took possession. I'm not going to say it before you take possession. We took possession, and we're moving forward. I listened to the people, and right now we're going to sell that plane at hopefully the same cost, but the same. Hold on, for the same cost of what we paid for. That's what we're looking to work with Bombardier. The officials are working with them. But your question, I'm sorry?
Do you agree with the Prime Minister that the U.S., our close ties to the U.S. have become weak? This is to be corrected. And if so,
Okay, so there again, right? Why did you keep it secret? Well, we didn't keep it secret. As soon as we took possession, we let people know it. Yeah, exactly. As soon as you took possession, you didn't you didn't let us know when you were considering it. You didn't let us know when you were signing. You didn't let us know when the paperwork was being drawn up. You didn't let us know when you made the decision. You let us know when you took possession. We let you know immediately once we took possession. Yeah, that's the problem. You're almost there, Doug Ford. You're almost there. That was the problem. So yeah, it wasn't a good press conference for Doug Ford. This did not help. He really just comes across as a 6-year-old child who's crying because mommy said, no, we are not having Fruit Loops this week. It's going to be shredded wheat. And then again, gets asked another question here about his behavior here. And again, goes back into the people. I've listened to the people. I've made mistakes. Every premier makes mistakes. And when I get the calls, and I'm the only guy in the world, I want to emphasize the world, not North America, not Canada, that gives out a cell number. And I get hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of calls depending on the day, even up to 1,000. I listen to the people. So yeah, this is Doug Ford's, based on what Doug Ford is indicating here, own supporters will turn around and say, give them a piece of his mind. So yeah. Anyway, that's enough of Doug Ford here. He is not. This story is going to last. It's going to last a couple more days. Like I said, today we're finding out that all his rationales for having to go all the way up north and having to have the plane land there, all of it is BS because his plane would only be able to land, at least if it's full capacity, to 10% of the airport landings that there are. Of course, if it was not full weight, he could access a few more of them. But there, um, that's the reality. So I assume that at some point, if he's available to the media again today, he's going to be asked why it is that he wanted a plane that could only land at full capacity at just under 11% of Ontario airports, and why he thinks that that's the type of plane that will help him visit all those places where the runways are gravel. Oh man. One last little bit for you today, Kits and Cubs. Mr. Avi Lewis talking to Canadians as well, because he's come up with like I said, an idea. We showed you a press conference where he was selling the idea that went well, that did not go well for him, because he too decided that he was going to broach the media and bring the worst of Pierre Poilievre into his persona by trying to attack through the media, going to a room and trying to control it, rather than understanding that when you open the room up for questions, it's now the media's room, and they will ask you what they like, and you don't get to control that. It's their show from that point on, right? But this comes from CPAC's show Primetime Politics, which, by the way, I am very, very, very sad to announce no longer exists. Kits and Cubs. I saw this on the feed of Stuart Benson, who writes for the Hill Times, if I am not mistaken. But CPAC issued a notice yesterday stating that for budgetary reasons, the shows Primetime Politics in English and L'Essentiel are over. From the Wire report here. Oops, I might not be able to see that. That might be behind paywall for me. Let's check that here. Maybe not. Okay, according to, yeah, so I can't read the thing from the Wire report to you. However, I could get the official statement here from CPAC's President and Chief Executive Officer. Today, we are sharing difficult news. CPAC is faced with accelerating revenue decline and continued uncertainty in the broadcasting landscape. The CRTC's recent approval of a 3-cent rise increase set to take effect this September is helpful in the short term and comes at a time when financial pressures on our organization have intensified. Subscriber erosion has nearly doubled since 2024. Delays in modernizing the broadcasting system have prolonged the uncertainty around when predictable, reliable, and stable long-term funding mechanisms will be in place. To navigate this volatile, complex, and ambiguous environment, we have been forced to make difficult and necessary decisions. Effective today, we have canceled the production of Primetime Politics and L'Essentiel. Esteemed colleagues have left CPAC today. This is not a reflection of the people affected. Our former colleagues are dedicated and talented professionals who have made meaningful contributions to Canadian journalism and broadcasting. We are grateful to them and thank them sincerely. CPAC remains committed to its mandate of providing coverage that is uncut, unfiltered, and without spin. So yeah, those shows that we relied on a lot for interviews and clips, really, they're just gone now. We're losing 2 quality shows. So once again, I recommend that you look at what will be the last episode of the round table with the journalists, with Joël Denis Bellavance, Robert Fife, and Tana McCharles, because there were so many moments there that were absolutely fantastic. But yeah, show is gone. From a recent CPAC moment, Avi Lewis was there and was selling his first policy, which is he calls strategic surveillance. It's algorithmic or surveillance pricing, or the same thing. You might know it as algorithmic pricing, and it's the whole concept of the fact that we now have these digital price indicators at grocery stores. And it seems that in certain cases, some of them may be communicating with our cell phones to let them know how much we as an individual, what is the highest price that we can bear for a certain product, rather than the highest price the market in general could bear. So again, each and one of us individually being treated as ATMs, because now the technology exists for people, corporations who are very well funded, to not calculate what they think the overall market will bear and pick a price point based on that, but what each individual member of the market can personally bear, and then charge you a price based on that, which is, as Avi Lewis calls it, pretty creepy and ridiculously unfair, and that's just a little too much customization and a little too much of weaponization of our own data against us. He's got a good subject here. He's got a great subject here, and he does know how to sell it. So let's take a moment here from his recent interview with Michael Serapio, based on this. This is the one here. And get into a little bit of what it is that he is saying. I believe I'm just going to set it up here, make sure that I've got the right time. So I'll just put this behind the screen for a second while I'm setting it up here for you. So yeah, this here, we're talking about an affordability issue. We're talking about an AI related issue here as well. And like this is something that pretty much everybody can understand and know is wrong. This is definitely a populist idea here. And the assumption here from the NDP is that Mark Carney probably would not proactively want to do anything to address this. I don't necessarily assume that that's the case. If Mark Carney has been good at allegedly stealing conservative ideas, there's nothing that says he can't steal a few NDP ideas that are actually sound and would be popular. So I'm not particularly certain that Mark Carney would object to taking some action on this, actually. But let's find out a little bit more here from Mr. Lewis about this particular policy plank of his.
To that, your first order of business was to raise the issue of surveillance pricing.
Yeah.
You've introduced a motion around that today. We'll get to that motion in a moment. But as you yourself say, a lot of Canadians don't understand what surveillance pricing is all about. Why is it concerning for you?
Well, go and go shopping online. Open up an incognito private browser window on one device and your own browser window on another and do a test. And you'll see that you might see completely different prices at the same moment. The same person at the same time online. And this is happening in grocery stores too. In the United States, the Federal Trade Commission documented more than 250 specific examples where with the aid of big tech, retailers like big grocery stores, and we have a big problem with monopoly grocery in Canada, are teaming up with big tech to use your personal search history. AI now, within every platform, your email program, your calendar is able to suck up all kinds of information about your shopping history, your income maybe, where you live, your postal code, whatever, and use it to give individualized prices to people, even in the retail store in the supermarket. This is grossly unfair. It's super creepy. It's surveillance pricing, and it should be, if it's not already against the law, it must be against the law. And we've called on the Carney government to ban the practice.
Which is your motion that came up today.
And it was shut down today by the Liberals. We asked for unanimous consent on that.
But they say they are looking into it without necessarily supporting your bill. They say they're looking into what they call algorithmic pricing.
The same thing. Lots of different names for it. I think surveillance pricing is a better way of thinking about what's happening. You are being spied on. We know our devices are listening to us, are spying on us. You have a conversation with a friend about going to Mexico, you go to your Instagram, suddenly it's selling you trips to Mexico. How do we think this? We know this is happening, right? It should not be used to further price gouge from Canadians, especially when we're already suffering from a cost of living emergency. The Minister Solomon, the Minister of AI, literally said it wasn't his department. I don't know what his department is then, because AI is central, this technology, to data mining and to hoovering up massive amounts of data about us, and in fact the whole history of human accomplishment online, to fuel these large language models. That's a really big concern for us as well, which is why we have a humans first AI platform, unlike other parties.
Okay, so what do you do then? Like, I mean, you've introduced this motion. Again, we now have a majority government, so it's not going to go anywhere. What do you do with this?
Well, I think we raise the alarm among Canadians and we create popular pressure on the government. And I think the government is in a difficult position because they are so pro-AI. And I think Prime Minister Carney's speech at the Liberal Convention, again, was more sort of cheerleading. This technology is going to make our jobs more interesting. It's going to make life better. No, it's not. I'm not saying put the toothpaste back in the tube. This use of language models has long been used for scientific research, for medical research. There's uses for this technology that are absolutely legit, and we need it. But the trillions of dollars that have been poured into the stock market bubble, massive rollout of data centers all over the United States and the world, increasingly in Canada, the only way that they get their money back, these giant tech companies, is that they eliminate millions and millions of jobs. This is a threatening technology that needs serious guardrails, and we need to be able to trust our government to actually stand up to big companies. That has never been their specialty. That's why we need the NDP.
Okay.
So there we go. Making the case here, not only for a need to combat surveillance pricing, but to also have an AA strategy if we're going to have one that's a little less, might be Pollyanna-ish. And this is all the wonderful things that can happen with AI, and making sure that it's focusing on all the other uses of it that can be made for purposes that are a little less than noble. Um, on that front, since we are talking about AI, yesterday, uh, our dear leader of the opposition had some thoughts to share about AI and about the minister, Evan Solomon. And again, Pierre Poilievre, that wants us to believe, again, that he is leading a serious party that could be a government in waiting, with him, I'm guessing, he is advancing, being the leader of said government in waiting, and wants us to know that he is absolutely the man for the job, and that he is ready for it, and that he could take this on, and that he will do it with gravitas that is required.
Mr. Speaker, the question was not for the artificially intelligent minister. It was for the Prime Minister.
We know that epithets are not permitted, and we have to treat all honourable members with respect. That doesn't mean we can't have hard-hitting questions, but no nicknames, please. The honourable leader of the
The artificially intelligent minister. There you go. Back to Abby Lewis, however, and Doug Ford, because their paths crossed on this issue. It seems that while in Manitoba, Premier Wapkanu is down with doing something on surveillance pricing, Doug Ford, not so much, according to the Canadian press. Ontario Premier Doug Ford is nixing the idea of banning so-called surveillance pricing on groceries as Manitoba has proposed. Ford says today that he believes in free market capitalistic society. The Manitoba government is moving to ban what it calls predatory pricing on groceries, though the issue hasn't been seen locally after an investigation in the United States found some online shoppers using a third-party platform were charged different prices for the same item bought at the same time from the same seller. Ford says competition is the best driver of lower prices, but if any collusion is happening, we will tear them to shreds, but we're going to give them an opportunity to collude first. The Premier was also asked today about a planned City of Toronto pilot project to open 4 city-run groceries, which he calls the craziest idea he has ever heard. Ford says he agrees that grocery prices are sky high, which he attributes to rising gas prices. Yes. Doug Ford doesn't like all of that socialism. Doesn't like all that socialism. Merritt Stiles, leader of the NDP, of course, suggesting that Doug Ford is out of touch. But yes, Abby Lewis now has the foil that he needs, a conservative premier of the largest province, stating that this type of socialism is not okay, because apparently capitalism is allowing the corporation the right to determine how much money you have in your bank account and how much you can pay for this 2 liters of orange juice versus the person that was there before you. That's acceptable capitalism to Doug Ford. Just so you know, the man who's treating Ontarians like they are an ATM has no problem with corporations treating Ontarians like they're an ATM. Is anybody surprised? Right? So yeah, Avi Lewis now has the big bad conservative he can fight against on this, and Mark Carney now has the perfect foil as well because he can turn around and make his own announcement based on this. Maybe get some NDP input in there. Look like they are working together and collaborating. And Doug Ford once again stands up as the conservative because I'm really thinking that the NDP should do this, take the fight to conservatives rather than liberals first so that they can regain some ground, particularly since the public mood is very favorable to the liberals and most people don't want to hear it at the moment. But Doug Ford, Abby Lewis went out and said, I need someone to fight against on this. And Doug Ford said, yeah, I volunteer for tribute. Okay. One last little thing that happened yesterday. Pierre Poilievre yesterday was in Parliament and appears to have gone for a little stroll over the course of the morning. And now, I'm not going to say that there's anywhere in Parliament that nowhere belongs, right? That would not be okay. But he just showed up yesterday at some point, unannounced, in the corridor outside of the Liberal cabinet meeting. Usually it's only cabinet ministers and staff who walk by. On cabinet day, it's a cramped space with many journalists there, so other MPs tend to avoid it. This is according to Glenn McGregor, a journalist covering Parliament Hill for City News TV. So yeah, Pierre Poilievre yesterday at some point was walking through the halls of Parliament and just seemed to be showing up in the area where liberals tend to hang around and do their business. Again, not saying that he's not allowed to be there, but they usually are not there, and they are usually not there on that specific day. However, according to CPAC, we have to replace that with something else. Here we go. That would be the proper video that I wanted to show you. And let's Pierre Poilievre just casually walking up the stairs.
Carney de l'état de la relation Canada-américaine.
L'état, quel état?
L'état de cette relation-là.
Comment ça va? Ça fait 5 mois, il n'y a pas de négociation. M. Carney a été élu avec la promesse principale.
So they are there to ask liberals questions about liberals as they are emerging from their meeting. And Pierre walks up the steps there, sort of like it kind of gives the vibes of the person you were dating broke up with you, yet you still keep on showing up at their front door. You don't actually knock, you just sort of like hang around there, and maybe they'll come out and you'll have a chance to talk to them at some point. Nobody actually knows why he was there, which was kind of weird. And in fact, it was a kind of weird thing. Seemed to be something on which people agreed. Let's just put it that way. After all of this had happened, and this is here courtesy of Scott Robertson on Twitter at SA Robertson CA. The version you're going to see on CPAC doesn't have this anymore because when it's the live stream, you get a little bit of what happens before and after the press thing, whereas and then they edit it down after to just include the press availability. But immediately after the questions stopped, this is what happened here.
Merci beaucoup, mes amis.
Canada-US trade deal changing?
I know. When I saw him, I was like, what?
What's going on? Did he say anything about the trade council changing?
Yes. It was all that.
Merci.
Journalists were saying, that was weird. So again, we have two leaders, Pierre Poilievre and Doug Ford, who must have internal polling numbers that are indicating things are very, very bad for them because the public ones are not indicating that things are pretty good for them, suddenly engaging in some really weird and erratic behavior. Taking bigger risks, making bigger mistakes. And you know me, I always say, always watch for new behavior. Because why is Creepy Petey hanging around doors where liberals are meeting? All of a sudden. One has to wonder. But yeah, just struck everybody there as being weird that he would be there at that time. Leave for you to decide. But again, there's something going on with the leaders of our conservative parties. Something's not right. Their discernment and judgment appears to be severely impaired. All right, kids and cubs, that's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. We hope that you love listening to us because we love making this for you. Remember, sharing is caring and word of mouth is priceless. So please tell your peeps and poops all about us. We really appreciate it when you do, kids and cubs. Because if when you do it as well, you add a little bit of yourself saying why it is that our content resonates with you, that is advertising that we can't buy. And that is priceless, and we thank you for it. Now, if you are thinking of helping us in other ways, kids and cubs, there are some ways you can do that. One is by scanning this QR code that's going to appear on our screen, and that brings you to our YouTube page if you are not there already, where you can click on our like, share, and subscribe buttons. And if you happen to be watching our show that is not live broadcast within 7 days of it being broadcast, and you see the hype button on the YouTube page because you're watching on YouTube and probably an Android phone, please click on the hype button. That helps us smaller channels gain a little bit more visibility. And I thank you. I looked yesterday through it and I found two of our shows in the past that have received 850 hype points each, but they're the only two that I've spotted. So again, I don't know when the points are. I know you can get the points in the first 7 days, but I don't know when they actually show up for us to see and to see how many they are. But those of you who have been clicking, thank you so very much. And of course, if you are on our YouTube page, please click like, share, and subscribe because that helps us with the algorithm. And we thank you so much for that help. Now, other ways you can help us, kids and cubs, is by scanning this QR code, which will bring you to our coffee page. That's ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, all in one word. And that's if you like our content and would like to encourage us to do more by helping us finance it, because we do incur some costs in bringing the show to you. Like yesterday, I had to take the bus. To get to the curling event that I probably would have gone to anyway. But I needed bus fare there and back. It was for work. So if you would, kids and cubs, like to support, help your beaver take the bus, or just keep his cup full of lovely yummy hot chocolate so that he has some staff to help him research and put the show together for you. I would very much appreciate that. And anything more that you give, of course, than a cup of hot chocolate actually goes into the show to pay for stuff like internet services and subscription fees and things of the like, so that we can bring all of this to you. And we thank you for your generous, continued, and stalwart support. Without you, we are nothing. Tomorrow, Kits and Cubs, I believe, is the day of our official 6th anniversary. I saw a Facebook thing happen, pop up on my thing saying 6 years ago today, a couple of days ago, where I announced that it looked like we were going to be going ahead, but I believe that tomorrow, the 23rd, was the day that the first sort of quick little minute podcast stating that we would be starting something came out, and then we had our first episode the next day. So yes, depending on how you count it, tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, we officially turn 6. This many. We turn this many, and hopefully you will be here for our birthday celebrations. I don't know how many celebrations we'll have. It'll probably just be another show, but but you will be here to see the odometer move from 5 to 6. Thank you so much. Again, we would most of the shows of our initiative end within the first 3 years because they do not find the support that they need to keep going. We have, and hopefully this year, if things go well, we'll be able to break even, which would be nice this year, especially since our costs have gone up. But with your continued support, we have no doubt that that will happen. Thank you so much, Kids and Cubs, for all that you do. A couple of toonies or loonies in our tip jar at the Eager Beaver Lodge Emergency Hydration Fund mean the world to us. And of course, we have you set up for one-time donations and multiple month donations if you would like to do that. Of course, on our YouTube page, we also have stickers and memberships and super chat donations that you can give to us. And we thank you so much for all of your support delivered that way. We get about 70% of your donation that way. And if you're doing the Buy Canadian thing, then True North Eager Beaver at gmail.com is our email address, True North Eager Beaver, all in one word. And if you send a direct bank transfer from your banking institution to ours, that ensures that your transaction is entirely Canadian and there are no service fees. We get 100% of your donation. So you get more Beaver bang for your buck there if you donate that way. Any way you donate to the show, Kids and Cubs, is very much appreciated. And thank you for all that you do to keep us going. Now, if you're not able to donate financially, please remember that you can donate in word, also at the same email address, truenortheagerbeaver at gmail.com, by sending us your thoughts on our show, what you like, what you would like us to do better, what you would like us to do more of, any of that, please, and some guest suggestions for our interview project series. If you have any of those, we definitely like that. Send us your good news. It helps us with the doom scrolling. Remember our hashtags: Kids Who Cook, Kids Who Cultivate, and Kids Who Craft. If you are making something yummy, if you are involved in something creative, or if you have a garden going on and you want us to see your progress and give us some tips, we would love all of that. Thank you very much. And when you write to us, also, if you have questions about politics that you would like us to answer or about how we put the show together, please feel free to ask. We love answering those questions as well. If you're looking for us on our socials, at True Eager at the Blue Sky Beaver Lodge, also on the Jitter. True North Eager Beaver at Facebook is our original home. We have the Damn Fam Instagram run by Kit Uncover. We have the Damn Fam Discord run by the Damn Fam, so you can keep the conversation going. We have our Substack, Beaver Bites, that you can look for us there. Lots of places for you to find us and keep the conversation going. We are able to read everything that you write us, although we're not always necessarily able to respond to everyone. And everything you send us, either in word or in financial support, goes back into the show to make it better for you. And we thank you so much for all the times that you interact with us. Makes us feel less like we are, in a wind tunnel screaming when we actually hear people interact with us and actually have the joy of seeing you respond to our content. So thank you so much, Kits and Cups, for all of that. Because democracy is something that you do, remember there's 2 more days to get your views in on the Alto high-speed rail proposal. That's altotrain.ca/en/public-consultation. If you have any concerns about the environment, about the expropriation process, or about the route, or any other type of thing, please participate in a session and let your views be known. Also, this weekend, if you are in Ontario, there's some mass protests in localities all across the province against the Doug Ford government. Find out what's going on in your area and do show up. And of course, if you are in British Columbia right now, you would be waiting for your ballots to vote for the new leader of the BC Conservative Party. If you are a member, ballots should be sent out around May 9th, and the results will be announced on May 30th. So make sure that you get your vote in, Kits and Cubs. Words of wisdom. Oh, man. Montreal Canadiens, why? Why? These are not words of wisdom. These are words of complaint and crying. Montreal Canadiens lost in overtime last night, but hey, it's 1-1, so that's good. We're fine. Better than my beloved Sens, who were down 0-2. And of course, tonight, if you are a hockey fan, then you need to have your opportunity to cheer for the Edmonton Oilers, who will be trying to go up 2-0 in their series against the Anaheim Ducks. Tonight is also the night for people who are watching the Ottawa Charge and hoping that they book their tickets to the playoffs. They're playing the Boston Fleet tonight. I believe even just 1 point against the Fleet today would seal the deal for Team Ottawa going into that final. So that's good. There is also, I think, the World Championships of Hockey for under 18 that have started. I think they started today, and Team Canada is playing Team Slovakia at 12 noon today. So there's some stuff to cheer for on that. And of course, if we are looking at a little basketball, the Raptors are not on tonight, which is okay. And in the Super League playoffs, Sudbury, the Sudbury Five, extended the final series by defeating the KW Titans 122-106. So there will be yet another game in the best of 5 series, which the Titans now lead 2-1. And there you go. Just try to see if I can find out when that is scheduled. It is scheduled for the 27th, so a couple of days to wait before that next match if you are cheering for one of those 2 teams to sell and zap. So yeah, just words of wisdom, I guess. Just keep on praying to Lord Stanley so that we can finally get that cup back in this country where it belongs. We need to rescue it, man. That thing's been in the United States too long. We need to bring it back home. So hopefully that happens. Those are my words of wisdom. Just to pray to Lord Stanley. All right, Kits and Cubs, could be a tough world out there, so please be kind to and gentle with yourself. And now, at the count of 3, may I please have you say, Mr. Beaver, please cue the cock on 1, 2, and 3. All together now. That is the good stuff right there, Kits and Cubs. I heard you. I heard you. And here's a little cock-a-doodle-doo just for you. You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters, CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, Hot pepper sauce is made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music. All right, kids and cubs, hopefully I'm back. Yes, I am back. There we go. Cool. Today on Canadians Who Make Us Proud, we're going a little bit, still sports, but a little bit off the beaten path, kids and cubs, sports that we don't get to talk about a lot. But recently, we've had a chance to talk about a little bit more because we have a team that is doing very well here. This is from a little earlier in the month, but it would seem that Canada's Lewin Lafrance sisters once ago, jeez, you could tell it's time to end the show, earned gold at a sailing regatta. Really important one. So that's kind of cool. It says here, let me check this out here from CBC Sports. Canadian sailors Antonia and Georgia Lewin Lafrance won the gold medal in the 49er FX class in the Princess Sofia Trophy in Palma de Mallorca, Spain. The sisters from Chester, Nova Scotia started the day in second and a point behind reigning world champions Paula Barcelo and Maria Cantero of Spain. The Lewin Lafrance siblings took over the lead in the last race of the competition to claim gold in the first Grand Slam regatta of the season. The top 10 teams in qualifying competed in the two final races. The Canadians carried over their accumulated net points minus those from their worst performance. Antonio and Georgia were fourth and the Spanish ranked first in the first race of the final. But Barcelo and Cantero dropped to 10th in the second race and the Canadians placed fifth to take over the points lead. Sophie Steinlein and Catherine Barthelheimer from Germany earned the silver medal and the Spaniards the bronze. Antonio and Georgia Lewin Lafrance were bronze medalists in the World Championships and gold medalists in the European Championships last year. That's why I was saying we're talking about them a lot of late. They placed 11th in the 2024 Olympic Games in Paris. The Canadians will compete in the second of 5 regattas in this year's Grand Slam Series, April to 18th to the 25th in the French Olympic week. So they are competing right now. Hopefully that we will have more from Canadian sailors here doing well on the sports stage and being excellent ambassadors for our country. That's all I got for you today. Amour et bisous. And we will see you tomorrow. Probably talk a little bit about the fact that the Prime Minister has changed the composition of the committee from which he gets advice on trade with the United States. That was a big announcement, but we didn't have time for it today. So we'll probably be talking about that tomorrow. Okay, kids and cubs. And with that, I am gone. Have a beaverific day, everyone.